Well, Mike, I can't believe I doubted you. You were right about the Eagles the whole time.
Did you really doubt me?
But I have some bad news. The whammy, he didn't have a good night on Super Bowl Sunday.
Did he really pick Patrick Mahomes to win MVP?
Yes, he bet everything on the Chiefs, he told me, and he lost all his money.
So you're saying that the whammy got whammied?
Yeah.
Well, he should have listened to me when I said take the Eagles. Maybe I wasn't 100% right when it came to Saquon Barkley, but I was absolutely right saying the Eagles were going to roll.
Hold on. Is he here? Whammy, I gotta talk to you about the betting you made.
Yes,
You lost every bet.
every single bet.
What did you bet on?
I think a better thing to ask is what didn't I bet on? I bet on how many touchdowns Patrick Mahomes would throw. I bet on how many touchdowns Saquon Barkley would have. I bet on what color underwear Patrick Mahomes is wearing. I bet on how long the national anthem lasted. I bet on everything.
And you lost every single bet.
I'm that unlucky, yes.
Bizzarro Whammy made all his. Oh, yeah, I have to mention you guys. There's a new character in my room. It's Bizzarro Whammy. He's the exact opposite of the whammy.
So he gives money to people?
I guess, but he also won every single bet he made in the Super Bowl.
Hey, Twinny!
Bizzarro! Bizzarro ranking in dough.
Yes, folks, all three of us have whammy dolls. Hold on, I'm taking a screenshot of this. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is going to be some sort of spoiler without context. All right.
Bizzarro love Jalen Hurts.
Why does it sound like Sloth from Goonies? Bizarro like Jalen Hurts. Is Bizarro Whammy voiced by John Matuzak?
Be impressive since he's no longer been with us for like 30 years.
I think even longer than that. I think it's like 35 at least. I think he died in 89.
Oh. Bizzarro disappearing in Fox Scorebug. Oh, Whammy, get off Fox Scorebug here. No, don't.
So, if I may ask Bizarro Whammy, how much did he win in his gambling endeavors?
Bizzarro made $200 million. Bizzarro give money to Whammy.
Oh, you're so generous. I was going to steal it for you anyhow, but whatever. Thank you for the donation.
Oh, that's great, Whammy. Now you got money again.
And I'm going to bet it on the NBA All Star game this weekend.
You're gonna bet it all on the slam dunk contest?
Yeah, you better believe it. I'm going to bet on that one white guy. Not that white guy, the other white guy. I'm betting every single penny I have on the G League All Stars winning it all in the All Star game. Maybe I should just not bet anything on the All Star game and wait till baseball season.
Yeah, you should put like a future on like I don't know Marlins or something, and then if they somehow make it to the World Series, you can rake in the dough.
Juan Soto for MVP.
Sure, we can do that too.
I'd be flushing my money away at that point.
Oh, I got it. You're flushing your money away because he now plays in Flushing.
What's wrong with that guy? I don't know. He sees jokes where jokes aren't. He has a knack for doing that. So yeah, we have the Bizarro Whammy now. We have Bizarro Whammy, regular Whammy, we have British Whammy, and we have Chico's like high pitched Whammy who hasn't gone through puberty yet.
Hold on. I hold on.
Oh,
We can't hear the high pitched whammy. It's so high pitched it just comes in low.
If his friggin' nuts would drop, we'd hear him.
I've got to become a. Oh, there it goes. Oh, yeah.
When did he fucking turn into Barry White? Good heavens!
Oh my god.
He went from being a pre-teenage boy to friggin' Barry White. I'm the baby! Now I've got a deep voice. My nuts dropped. I think we actually need to get to this episode, and sadly, this episode is not going to be as bizarre as this open.
Yeah.
It's a serious show. So let's start the episode. Anthology on the bad, the short-lived, and forgotten television shows and events in TV history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
Sir Charles, your wish has been granted. The blue light means that you get, guess what? What? A second chance. Isn't that nice?
Episode 539, submission number 1162, Lime Street. Lime Street aired on ABC and Lifetime from September 21st, 1985 to 1987 for 8 episodes. You're going to want to hang on to everything we have to offer in this episode because honestly, this whole show is a vibe. Fictional diplomacy, non-fictional diplomacy, tragedy, changing networks, changing characters, changing backstories, and believe it or not, designing women is involved. Lime Street was the brainchild of creator and producer Linda Bloodworth Thomason, who married her writing partner Harry Thomason in 1983 after the two of them worked on episodes of MASH, Rhoda, and the original pilot for One Day at a Time. At its heart, it is a combination action drama that spans one ocean, 2 continents, a major world capital, and a small American suburb. It features one James Grayson Culver, a widower in the pilot, a divorcee in the series, a horse trader all throughout who investigates insurance cases on London's famed Lime Street, the center of the insurance industry in the United Kingdom, primarily the home of Lloyd's of London. Culver's work involves him jetting from his home in Virginia to his work in London alongside his partner Edward Wingate. All throughout, the center of the drama is Culver balancing his work life in London with his home life in Virginia as a single father of 2 girls and a caretaker for his father. James Culver is played by legendary star of stage, screen, and television, Robert Wagner. It Takes a Thief, Switch, Heart to Heart, and the Austin Powers movies.
And it should be noted that we're covering this episode a week after Robert Wagner's 85th birthday. Happy belated birthday, Robert Wagner.
His partner in crime fighting, Edward Wingate, is played by John Standing, known for his roles in The Elephant Man and V for Vendetta. He was actually on 2 episodes of Doctor Who: The Monthly Adventures, which today I learned is a Doctor Who podcast drama.
Greg in editing. Someone never listens to Big Finish, does he?
He was also on many deep espionage British series of the 60s and 70s, including The Saint, The Avengers, and what we here in the US know as Secret Agent, but is known in the UK as Danger Man.
Danger Man.
Yes, and I know what you're thinking. Danger Mouse did get its name from Danger Man. Also working alongside Edward Wingate is one Celia Westfall, played by Julie Fulton, known for roles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Matlock, and Hunter. She was actually in 5 episodes of 1990's The Dave Thomas Comedy Show.
And by Dave Thomas, we mean the Dave Thomas from SCTV, not the Dave Thomas from Wendy's.
Really? I would have never guessed that. I really wanted to see Dave Thomas from Wendy's do some humor.
You would have loved to have seen that, right?
What humor would he have done? How many jokes can one man make about a Dave's triple? The Baconator. What jokes are there about Baconators? But it would be nice if he passed out Frosties to all the people in the audience. That would be a bonus.
We also have as Evelyn Camp, Anne Haney. You would recognize as Mrs. Selder from Mrs. Doubtfire, and also roles on Liar Liar, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, The American President, and 8 episodes of Movie Stars.
I think we talked about her in the past.
She was Mrs. Nelson on an episode of Boy Meets World, but I do not know which episode.
I don't know if this is what you're specifically thinking of, Greg, but she did play Judge Marilyn Travellini on 11 episodes of LA Law. Now hold on. I found where we talked about her. She was on an episode of The Golden Palace.
Yes.
Meanwhile, on the home front, we have as Henry Wade Culver, Lou Ayers. You would recognize him as the miserly owner of Moody's Store for Men, Mr. Moody.
Mr. Moody.
Wait a second. Didn't we just talk about Moses Moody before the show? Is that who this is? Mr. Moody, Mr. Moses Moody. I'm playing in the NBA All-Star game this weekend.
We have talked about him before. He was in an episode of Finder of Lost Loves.
And he was on an episode of Flying High.
And then we have as the 2 daughters, the youngest daughter, Margaret Ann, is played by Maya Bruton, a.k.a. Shelley Lewis from Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Yes. And she was also in Adventures in Babysitting. And here's the big one. She was the younger sister to Leah Thompson in the first Back to the Future movie in the 1955 scene at the dinner table. Do you know who played her brother in that scene, Chico?
I want to say Billy Zabka.
No. Jason Hervey.
Well, he kind of looks like Billy Zabka.
No, he does not.
He kind of does.
Chico could use these.
Oh, shut up.
As Mike holds his glasses to the camera.
And rounding out the cast as the older sister, the eldest daughter, Elizabeth, was Samantha Smith in what was to be her first and only TV role. There are multiple accounts of how she got this role, and the story depends on who you ask, from Linda Bloodworth Thomason or Robert Wagner, but the facts are these. In 1982, a 10-year-old Samantha gained international fame when she wrote a letter to and became the unlikely pen pal to Russian Premier Yuri Andropov, who told her in response to that letter that he did not want to end the United States in a nuclear war before inviting her to the Soviet Union. Her visit was covered widely on both sides of the Cold War divide and serialized in her book Journey to the Soviet Union. The exposure led her to become an activist and goodwill ambassador, namely America's youngest ambassador, who focused on covering the 1984 U.S. presidential election for the Disney Channel. Her casting in Lime Street would come later, though she would only appear in half of the episodes. We'll come back to that.
You're missing one other huge cast member. We have a gentleman by the name of Sir Geoffrey Rimbatten. And you mentioned earlier somebody being on the Avengers. Sir Geoffrey Rimbatten was played by Patrick Macnee, who was the lead on the Avengers. He was John Steed.
Yeah. And you know what else we've talked about Patrick Macnee and Mike?
Oh, Greg, if you're going to say what I think you're going to say, just say it.
Thunder in Paradise.
Is that a callback to me, brother? We're going to talk it. Shut up and drink your real American beer. Shut up and drink your real American beer. I said shut up and drink your real
before
American
you
beer.
cancel the show. Boo!
Buy real American beer.
More like real American crap, if you ask me.
USA. USA. Can we at least agree that Barks Root Beer is a real American root beer?
Yes.
He said it, not me.
What root beer do you like?
I don't drink any root beer, to be honest.
Okay, so you're just non-committal because you don't do root beer. I thought maybe you had something against Barks Root Beer.
No.
Okay.
Hold on. I got to mention, they have a penalty box at the Silver game now. And Rocky and the Grower are running this penalty box.
Is he the enforcer?
I guess. I don't know.
Is that the reason that Rocky was in the game? Because he's like the head of the penalty box.
Something like that.
Oh. Actually, where I thought you were going to go with the whole Patrick Macnee and the Avengers thing, Greg, is when we talked about, I don't remember if it was Diana Rigg or Diana Rigg's replacement on the Avengers, and we were talking about the Married with Children episode where they wanted to order the videotapes of the Avengers because they wanted to see Peel cheeks.
Yes.
I thought that's where you're going to go with that. I didn't think you were going to go all Thunder in Paradise. You see, I set my expectations really low on this show. He comes at us with the Thunder in Paradise. I'm expecting just a subtle reference to the Married with Children episode where Al and Jefferson are expecting Avengers videotapes and they don't get Emma Peel videotapes. They get Joanna Lumley videotapes. And they return it, and in exchange, they get Three Stooges videotapes.
Now, hold on. Let me just say it right now, since we mentioned Thunder in Paradise. Jizzle drizzle.
Totally expected, but totally appreciated.
We've got to appreciate these humor beats because this particular episode is going to get dark very soon. But not before we go over the episode, shall we? We always start with the pilot, which aired at 10 o'clock on a Saturday instead of its usual 9 o'clock slot. Someone is killing members of the royal family of a small European principality whose lives are insured by Lime Street. In order to protect the sole remaining heir, Christina, Gray agrees to take her back to the United States to his farm, but the assassin follows them across the Atlantic. Episode 2. The Mystery of Flight 401. The cockpit crew of a 747 stage a hijacking in order to extort $4 million from their airline, then plant evidence that points to D.B. Cooper. Gray and Eddie see through their plot, but to prove their case, they must first figure out how the crew got the ransom off the airplane after it landed and was besieged by FBI agents.
Now, hold on. We all know who D.B. Cooper is, Chico. It's Loki.
Wait, what does D.B. Cooper have to do with Loki? I know I'm not a big, comic book fan or Marvel fan or whatnot, but I want to hear the connection between the two.
Okay, in season 1 of Loki, like as a goof to go to Earth, like he wanted to like mess with people on Earth for some reason, and so he decided to hijack an airplane for money, and it turned out that he was D.B. Cooper.
Interesting. Okay.
We have a bit of a name, that guy from That Thing, playing Captain Rex Handley, Edward Power. He was on episodes of Lou Grant, Buck Rogers, Barnaby Jones, Switch with Robert Wagner, and Cannon.
Boy, did he drop the ball. He mentions Barnaby Jones, and he doesn't acknowledge that that's
a Quinn Martin production.
And Cannon, too.
Well, as we all know, Barnaby Jones was a spinoff of Cannon.
Yes, and I told Greg, MeTV just started at the beginning of Barnaby Jones. They went back to 1973 after showing the final season. And the first episode, the pilot, there's actually a crossover, an almost immediate crossover with Cannon, because apparently Barnaby Jones's murdered son is friends or associates with Frank Cannon. So you got Barnaby Jones, played by Buddy Ebsen, calling Frank Cannon, William Conrad, in like the first 5 minutes, and they team up together for the entire episode, seemingly. I haven't gotten through the whole episode. I've gotten through about half of it, but that's a damn good way to start a series.
Yeah. I hope there's a scene where Barnaby Jones and Frank Cannon go to like a pastry shop and have some danishes.
Okay, I'm not joking about this. When they first show Frank Cannon as he's getting the phone call from Barnaby Jones, he's in his kitchen making a spinach souffle. He obviously doesn't have an issue with souffles or spinach, but I thought that was great. He's actually at like midnight, not even joking, because I think that's when the call came in, was like right around midnight. He's making a friggin' souffle at midnight. And I think when he meets up with Barnaby Jones, he actually offers Barnaby Jones some of the souffle. I don't think Barnaby Jones held him up on that offer of the souffle. That's actually one thing I want to do this weekend. I want to finish watching that first episode because it was really a compelling episode, and it does lay out like the entire series, because Barnaby Jones was a retired private eye, and he only got back into business because he was trying to solve who murdered his son. Oh, and also I should add, the spinach souffle, it wasn't in like little cupcake tins or the souffle dishes that are not much bigger than a cupcake tin. It was a friggin' giant-ass pot. Why does one guy need like a cooking pot-sized spinach souffle? Are they good as leftovers, especially in 1973 when microwaves were not in every household? Plus also, souffle is eggs, and microwaving eggs is nasty. More questions than answers. We have episode 3 to go over.
Episode 3, The Wayward Train. Gray is in England with his daughters on vacation when a train disappears on its last run before being placed into a museum. He and Eddie are assigned to the case and soon turn up evidence that leads all the way back to a military payroll robbery that occurred decades earlier aboard the same train.
Is it the Super Train?
Given the British connection, I know it's not in Britain, but the Orient Express would be a little more appropriate. Or, oh no, this would be, what, about 10, 12 years before the Channel? So it can't be the Channel going underneath the English Channel.
Episode 4, Diamonds Aren't Forever.
Do you get it? Diamonds aren't forever.
I've seen James Bond movies, I get it.
In Amsterdam, a fortune in jewels is stolen from the high-tech safe of a broker. Gray and Eddie fly in to track down the culprit and end up suspecting two sisters from Arkansas who claim to be on vacation.
Right.
The two sisters No idea what their characters' names are, but they are played by Annie Potts and Gene Smart.
Oh, wow. That's a great combination there. Annie Potts and Gene Smart.
But please remember who created this show, Linda Bloodworth Thomason. And what show would she create? What, 2 years, 3 years later?
Oh, yes. Designing Women.
Yeah, there's a connection there.
I didn't think of that. They both were on Designing Women. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, maybe Linda Bloodworth Thomason liked what she saw from these two, how they acted or whatnot, and said, you know what? I'm going to put them on this new startup show that I've got on CBS. Very feasible.
And to tie it back in with about a week or two ago, who did we mention the WFL episode? Delta Burke.
Now we just need to work in a Meshack Taylor reference, and we'll be like all set. Oh, how about we just talk about the cinematic classic from 1987, Mannequin? There we go. We've covered all our bases with Designing Women.
Couple more names in this episode. Playing a character by the name of Uli, Linda Thorson, who we talked about on Marblehead Manor.
Excuse me. Whoa, hold on a second. I'm going to tie it back in with Patrick McNee and the Avengers, because we talked about the Avengers and Emma Peel. Who replaced Emma Peel, Diana Rigg, on the Avengers, playing Tara King? Linda Thorson. And that was the reason why Alan Jefferson returned those videotapes, because they were expecting episodes with Emma Peel. And when they got the Tara King episodes, they're like, no, this isn't Diana Rigg. We're not going to see Peel cheeks. So she's the reason Alan Jefferson returned those Avengers tapes and got Three Stooges tapes instead. Isn't it amazing how the world just like works so beautifully? This is gorgeous. This is absolutely beautiful. I appreciate it a heck of a lot more than probably both of you combined, and I don't care.
I didn't know Linda Thorson was such an object of disappointment to these guys.
They were expecting Emma Peel cheeks. They were expecting Diana Rigg, and the episodes weren't Diana Rigg, so there's where the disappointment lies. It's not that she's disappointing, it's disappointing that they weren't Emma Peel episodes. They weren't Diana Rigg episodes. I'm trying to think how I can equate it for Chico. So, Chico, I know you like your Jeopardy. I know you enjoy your Ken Jennings, and I know you enjoy your Alex Trebek. What was the disappointment when you saw those 2 weeks that Aaron Rodgers hosted? There's the comparison.
Oh,
So-
God!
Okay, now you understand why Linda Thorson is no Diana Rigg. You get Pat Sajak, and then you get Rolf Benershka. There's another comparison. Even though Pat Sajak has been phone again for 20 years, but never mind about that. But, you know, you get Rolf Benershka, and you're like, holy crap, this is the new Coke of game show hosts. I hate this crap.
Don't you dare not do Coke, Mike. Don't compare him to Ralph Benershka with New Coke. Don't you dare do that.
If I said Coke 2, would that make it any better?
Well, if you said he was the Crystal Pepsi, I would agree.
No, you don't knock Crystal Pepsi in front of me. Linda Thorson is the Coke 2, and I'll say it, the Crystal Pepsi of sidekicks on the Avengers. She's the Rolf Benershka of Avengers. Oh, one more thing I want to mention that Linda Thorson was in, and I think Family Guy did a spoof of this. I could be wrong, but the name rings a bell. She was on 74 episodes of Emmerdale Farm. Wasn't there something like Emmerdale Farm where Stewie wanted to go visit?
Oh, Jolly
Britain?
Farm. Jolly
Times Farmer, yeah.
Now, I need to mention this about Linda Thorson. She was on a 1986 episode of Spencer for Hire. And Spencer for Hire is my Robert Urich wings.
Now, hold on a second. Spencer for Hire is your Robert Urich wings? I sincerely thought Soap would have been your Robert Urich wings. He was the tennis pro.
Vegas.
Well, I could understand that with Fort Braverman. But Spencer for Hire had Avery Brooks. And if I want to call somebody, who I call? Spencer.
But on Soap, he got to work with Catherine Hellman, and she would later be Mona.
The boss.
Mona.
Angela, I'm getting the Super Bowl ring with the Eagles. Angela.
Now, I really thought you were going to say, Mona, why are you sleeping with the tennis pro, Mona?
Angela, you know where I go when I need to have a case solved in Boston? Spencer.
There is one more name in this episode.
Oh my gosh.
We're probably not going to spend as much time talking about Prentice Hancock as we did about Linda Thorson, but Prentice Hancock, famed Scottish and Jesus fucking Christ.
Wait, Hancock.
Prentice Hancock plays security man number 1. He was in all of Space 1999, all of Spy Trap, and 14 episodes of Doctor Who.
Wait, who did he play on Doctor Who?
He played Faber, Captain, and Salamar. I've got the list of episodes he was actually on. He was in Spearhead from Space, episode 1.
The first John Hurtley episode.
In season 10, he was in all 5 episodes of Planet of the Daleks as Faber. He was in all 4 episodes of Planet of Evil from 1975 as Salamar. And he was a captain in all 4 episodes of The Ribos Operation from 1978.
Yeah. Doctor Who is one of those shows where you could play like a whole multiple different characters and no one's going to care.
Episode 5. Old Pilots Never Die. Legendary fighter pilot Woody Harrell is testing a new jet prototype when it suddenly vanishes from radar screens, leaving Lime Street on the hook for a $200 million insurance payout. Gray and Eddie join the FAA in its investigation and begin to suspect foul play when no wreckage can be found. Playing Woody Harrell, Mr. Powell himself, James T. Callahan from Charles in Charge.
I think he's slowly building a Hall of Fame case. I mean, it's Mr. Powell from Charles in Charge, for crying out loud.
Playing Victor Bart, David Paymer.
Yes, David Paymer.
Who is in 6 episodes of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, 11 of Dave.
Who's also in City Slickers. And, hold on a second. Guys, this is the best one, okay? He was the henchman to Kurt Fuller in the 1989 classic, No Holds Barred. So, oh, wait, I said No Holds Barred. Oh, no, don't tell me he's coming back again. Is the Hulkster here? Oh, no, he's not here.
No,
Oh,
he's
thank
not.
God.
Oh, that was a
Hear my name, whoa!
Oh, God damn it!
Did I hear my name?
Oh, no, I summoned him. No, get out. Please get
Boo!
out. Boo!
Get out of here! He also played Dan Enright in Quiz Show.
Yes, he did play that in Quiz Show.
You can't get rid of me that easily, brother.
Oh!
Listen here. Be quiet. Shush. I want to introduce my friend, Hulk Hogan Whammy. Drink real American beer.
Boo!
Now, yeah, shut up. If you don't, I'm going to take all your money.
Boo!
I'm going to replace all your money with real American beer.
Boo!
Boo!
Anti-American commies.
Boo!
Thank you, brother. So episode number 6.
Episode 6, Swiss Watch and Wait. Gray and Eddie are dispatched to Switzerland, where an extortionist is threatening a prestigious hotel chain. He is demanding millions of dollars, or he'll set off a bomb, leaving the Lime Street investigators racing against the clock to track him down.
I think it should be mentioned that this episode, this must have been one of the episodes that originally aired on Lifetime, because the air date of the previous episode was October 26th of 1985, and this one is just mentioned as 1987. And we do have a name actually in this episode, believe it or not. Playing Marie, no last name given, played by Miriam Dabo. Wasn't she a Bond girl? I think she was back in like.
I think she was in Living Daylights. Yes.
Yeah. I remember her from somewhere else too. And honestly, I don't want to admit this, but well, shit, I'm a male, and 30 some years ago I was a teenage male. I'm pretty sure she did a centerfold in Playboy.
Probably. But hold on. I believe she has a signed card in that Upper Deck 007 set from a couple of years ago.
That would not be surprising.
Episode 7 Treasure Hunt. As a publicity stunt, a novelist writes a book containing clues that can lead readers to a real-life treasure. No character names given for either one of these two people, but Kenneth Mars from The Little Mermaid, King Triton, and Peter Michael Getz from Aftermash are both in this episode.
Two more names to throw out there. Again, another character who has no name, played by Paul Sand. Somebody we've talked about in the past when we talked about Erie, Indiana, but he was a well-known property back in the 70s. He actually had his own show, for heaven's sakes. Paul Sand in Friends and Lovers. 1974 and 1975. But not even the last name. And this one we actually have a character name for. David Hovis is the character, played by Lyndon Childs. The main reason I mention him is because he is one of the people in Quinn Martin's Rolodex, because he appeared on seemingly everything Quinn Martin. He was on 5 episodes of Barnaby Jones. He was on 3 episodes of Streets of San Francisco. He was on 3 episodes of Canon. So he's one of those people who, when you watch the opens to those shows, like I valiantly do, and maybe Greg does too, I don't know. Lyndon Childs appears all the time as one of those special guest stars. He's one of those not necessarily well-known actors, but again, Quinn Martin loved him and put it on seemingly everything.
Episode 8, this would be the last episode. The $3 Million Spirit. A parapsychologist who has spent his entire career debunking anyone who claims to have paranormal abilities. He's even willing to pay $3 million to anyone who can prove they're real, and it seems Lime Street is the one who will pay the $3 million. And the man is also a friend of Rimbatton's, and when he meets a man who claims to be able to talk to the dead, the man appears to be real. So Rimbatton sends for Culver and Wingate to check it out. When he has another demonstration of his abilities, he claims to talk to an old and very deceased friend of Rimbatton's and utters a secret that only the two of them would know.
One name we haven't even mentioned throughout the course of the show is the person who did the music for it. Alf Clausen. Where could we start with Alf Clausen? I think The Critic is a good place to start. I think The Simpsons is a very good place to start. But I remember him as doing the music on Alf. And I thought it was always kind of cool. Oh, Alf Clausen did the music on Alf. Is there any sort of connection between the two? Well, stupid Mikey back in 1986 thought, yeah, Alf is named after Alf Clausen. No, of course not. But he's done so much music in the last 40 years, it seems.
We have to ask the question, what happened?
I got an easy answer to that. Lime Street aired on ABC on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. On CBS, it aired against the first hour of a Saturday night movie. But on NBC, there's 2 little upstart comedies. You're not beating either one. You're not beating the first one for sure, but you're probably not beating the second one either. Golden Girls and 227. I do have numbers, though. I actually have season-to-date ratings for late October, so that's like 2 months worth of numbers. But I do have a couple of weeks here. The first week I have is from September 30th through October 6th of 1985. Out of that certain number of shows that you know drives me absolutely crazy, I'm not saying it. So you could
Wait,
just, yes,
is it a number between 68 and 70?
could be.
What would that number be, Mike?
It would be the number between 68 and 70. You just said it.
Which is?
So out of that many shows, Lime Street came in at 63rd. So bottom 10%. So 63rd out of between 68 and 70 shows.
Oh, well, that's nice. It was between the 68 and 70 of show. Oh,
For the
wait, no, it
fol-
wasn't. It was 63rd. What am I talking?
I said 63rd. Yeah. Nice try at the joke there, but yeah, it was 63rd out of 68 plus one shows. For the following week, out of 60 shows, it was almost smack dab in the middle, 31st. And it looks like this was a week where the two comedies on NBC did not air because NBC was showing baseball playoffs at the time. But 31st out of 60 shows, beating a ton of really good shows. The Equalizer, 2020, The Love Boat, numerous playoff baseball games, Webster, Hardcastle and McCormick, Different Strokes, MacGyver, Mr. Belvedere, Spencer.
Spencer.
I just want to get that in. Benson, Silver Spoons, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Punky Brewster, The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy was actually the 60th rated show for that week. Now, for the season to date, up until, again, late October, out of 73 shows, Lime Street was 58th. Again, beating shows like MacGyver, Benson, Different Strokes, Silver Spoons, Punky Brewster, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Spencer. So maybe that's the reason it only lasted 5 episodes on ABC, is that 1-2 punch of Golden Girls and 227.
Not to mention that Robert Wagner was pretty much doing Robert Wagner things. In fact, I've got a quote here from Bill Kelly of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Apart from the fact that the pilot devotes a large volume of boring time to depicting Wagner's J.G. Culver character as a doting father, there's virtually nothing to separate Lime Street from such Wagner series as It Takes a Thief, Switch, or Heart to Heart. The series pins its hopes squarely on the TV audience's fondness for the Wagner they have come to know over the years, rather than on plot turns or originality. But there is more, and this is where we take a hard turn into seriousness. 4 episodes were produced before Samantha Smith died on August 25th, 1985, 4 weeks before the show was to premiere. Production continued, but even as producers floated the idea of introducing a third sister, it was never realized and Smith's role was never recast. Episode 5 aired on October 26th, after which ABC and the Thomasons mutually agreed to end the series, Smith's death making them realize that moving forward with production would neither be prudent nor wise from both a creative or profit-generating standpoint. The series did air all 8 episodes, the last 3 on Lifetime, as we said before, as a tribute to Smith's memory. The series never got an official home release, but you can watch all 8 episodes right now for free on YouTube. By the way, if you want to know more about the Samantha Smith story, My So-Called Gen X Life has a very good deep dive on 15 tragic tales of Gen X television people.
And Omnibus did an episode about Samantha Smith a while back, so I would highly suggest you listen to that episode too.
So what can we say about Lime Street? It is one of Robert Wagner's roles on television. It had an ensemble cast that had chemistry, but it went for the heart-to-heart with a British guy in the Stephanie Powers role. Save for some tragedy, it just became a thing on TV.
You can find us at our website, itwasthathingontv.com, on Facebook at It Was The Thing on TV Podcast, and elsewhere at It Was The Thing on TV. You can find us on any podcast player, and we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our releases, including what's coming up next time.
Admittedly, this was a hard episode to make, but we'll make up for it next time with a palate cleanser of sorts. A guy resorts to wearing a dress in order to keep his family together.
What? Mike, a guy wearing a dress to keep his family together.
I don't know what to say.
Is this Mrs. Doubtfire the series?
I bet you it's not.
This will all make sense when we talk about it next time on It Was a Thing on TV. For Greg, for Mike, I'm Chico. Thank you so much for listening. Please be kind to one another, and we will see you for the next one.
Wow!
Al,
Jefferson, can't you see that I'm trying to comfort my daughter here?
it's about Appeal.
Excuse me. What's up?
Well, they admitted that they don't have an Avengers with Appeal, but they did offer a substitute.
No! No deal! It's Peel or nothing!
It's the Three Stooges.
Oh, happy day! Pick two.
Well, you're obviously in good hands here. I'm gonna go upstairs and start my homework before they start grabbing each other's noses with pliers. Ow! Too late.